Got a friend in Santiago, got a friend in Berlin, got a friend 100 miles away, who's as close as my hand. Distance couldn't keep us apart because we're one man with one heart.
Welcome, everyone. Tonight, at the last class of the Fundamentals course at the Learning Center, you began studying a very beautiful and very, very profound article. There's none else besides him. This article is special because it contains in it the entire method of the wisdom of Kabbalah. Everything is in this article. It is, it shows a person where they are, that is, what the larger system is really made of. It begins to show a horizon beyond this world, and it tells a person what is causing that horizon, what is causing the fact that we perceive less than half of reality. What is it that we don't embrace, and how is it that we can? This article is worth many, many readings, because any time that a person gets confused, lost, disappointed, elated, all a person has to do is to come back to this article, and they're going to see something new and something that they need right at that moment. It's going to remind a person of the bigger things, of the things that we really, first of all, never had sight of until the point in the heart appeared in us. And then how to remember what it is that dawned in us, that gave us this initial impetus. Why is it that we don't see the greater reality? This article tells us that this is part of an intended action of good towards us. This is an act of love towards us. We're built in such a way that we really reject this half of reality, which we call, well, you can call it left and right, or in simpler emotional terms, it's good and bad. We don't agree that events that happen, either within us emotionally or as we project them outwardly, things that we don't accept, things that people do, situations that we find ourselves in, we don't agree that such things should exist. We see no real purpose for them. And because of that, we remove this. We just take that element off the table and we try to figure out life just based on what pleases us. Just based on what we are willing to see. See no evil, hear no evil, everything's evil, basically, because what happens is we don't really enjoy our lives. We're not actually engaging in the gift that we're being given because we're not taking the tools that we need to actually rise and become what we were created to become. The events that we see in life, the ones that we oscillate between, these are the things that allow us to go beyond our limited sensation and our limited, well, what we call belief. We have certain beliefs about what is spiritual, what's good, what we should become. But belief's not enough. Belief doesn't actually get us to the place that we need to go. But what this article tells us about that we sense that there is some kind of opposite force or many forces or things that work against our progress, that we sense it that way is intended. This is part of the system, and we have to learn how to move between these two things, but not actually to be either it's good or it's bad, but to be in some other place that actually makes both of these things work. This is the great, two things in this article, a great gift of Kabbalah. First of all, that we see that there's one operating force. Now, once we're told this, and once we feel it, then how do we justify that? How do we not just say, yeah, that's what it is, and it's all coming from above, and no, so I should not worry about anything. Of course, that's not how it feels. We do. So how do we get to the place where this middle place between these two things, where we actually feel things as good? Well, that's what the Kabbalists are always talking about. That's what they've always been talking about. That's what the Learning Center is all about, and that's what you're here to learn.
Kabbalists have big mouths. For a hidden science, Kabbalists have been awfully noisy about it throughout the ages. Abraham invited travelers into his tent for dinner, where unsuspecting guests would receive a lesson in this wisdom, whether they liked it or not. Moses had a speech impediment, yet he still got thousands of people to hear him. Rabbi Akiva, another discreet guy, had a secret group of 24,000 students. The Bala Sulam tried to publish a newspaper, but the authorities promptly shut him down after a single printing. His son Rabash published books and even went to teach packed classrooms, but within a few lessons the classes dwindled down to only one straggler, his protege. So for a while now, the Kabbalists have been talking, but you see, no one was listening. And why were they talking in the first place? After all, isn't the fun of a big secret that only a few know it? And the fewer the knowers, the cooler you are, right? Only problem is the huge personal rewards awaiting Kabbalists depend 100% on their spreading the benefit of this wisdom to all humanity, even if they won't listen, and not just to a few special people, so-called chosen people who are chosen in that they got it first before everyone else, and they themselves attain all the pleasure and wisdom on condition that they help all the rest know it too. The more people you help realize all the good awaiting them in this wisdom, the more nature rewards you. And that's why Kabbalists have such big mouths. The end.
And they've been talking about it for centuries, thousands of years actually. And it's only now that because of the things that are occurring in our lives, that the swing between the pleasure that we want to receive and the way that nature is responding to our attitude, the swing between what we consider to be good and bad is becoming so vastly separated that people are actually beginning to ask the question to which this wisdom is the answer. Before that, really wasn't much help, and it really couldn't be understood. And we still see that there's, in the events that are happening almost on a daily basis now in the world, that people are blaming, they're looking for answers, but the answers don't seem to come because we are looking for those answers inside of the same paradigm, which is the bad stuff shouldn't be happening. How do we sort of stay over here and keep away from these things and remove them, and actually, in a sense, we don't use them. We can't ascend at all. For example, this lovely thing here. There we go. This oil spill is just one among many things that are happening and that have happened. Man, when you think about it, all the things that occurred just in the last year that are a challenge, they seem to be a challenge to our very existence. I mean, we have to ask, how come nature's not giving us very much leeway here? We used to be able to get away with these things. But no, we can't seem to take a step this way or a step this way without getting some kind of a reaction, some kind of a push. Well, these are big events, but they're really all events that we need to look at, and we need to understand in ourselves. How can a thing like this be a good thing? It seems like it's destroying many people's ways of life and the economy, and it could be much worse. It depends on what all the chemical reactions, the reactions of the weather, and all these sorts of things that could go well or go bad from here. And it seems so big and so looming. And how does a person look at this and say, well, I've been told, as a student, as a person on the path, like really wanting to change my inner quality, I've been told that this universal force that people call creator, this law of nature, is good that does good to the good and bad. Is good that does good. So, but how can I look at this and feel that that's so? Well, I can't, because first of all, I'm trying to look at everything inside my fishbowl, and I can't do it. I have to look at it outside of this level that I'm at. I have to connect these things not from this little place where I'm concerned about whether I'm going to make it out of here alive. There has to be something from a higher system, a light, a place that connects these things in my heart that actually lifts me up, so that we can see this in the same way that we can see lower levels of nature. We can see, oh, this is what's happening in a forest. I can understand that there's a cycle here. I can see why a fire would be good, or I can understand that certain movements in the earth and so on now create other opportunities. But we can't see that about our own reactions, our own inner life. Whether it appears this way, and whether my reaction to it is that it's for my good or for my bad, it's all good. The events of our lives, the things that happen to us when we really try to reach this quality, lead us to having to go through what's in this article and really look carefully at what it says. In the first place, it takes a huge burden off us. It says, no, there's not some opposing force in the universe. No, there's really nothing else that you have to do. No, you're really not responsible for anything, and you don't have to run from the devil and run towards an angel. None of these things are so. What we have to do is to be able to feel life as good, no matter what it is. But you need a place. You need a place in which you can do it. You can't just do it randomly against everything, because that's your fishbowl. That's an environment which is totally changing all the time. You have to have something that you can hold still for a moment, that you can measure things against. The light is still, Kabbalists tell us, meaning it always has one particular quality, right? It always and only gives. Now, we have to place ourselves into a situation of experimentation and work, so that we, against, let's say in a laboratory, which basically is a group, the environment holds this system for us and acts like this upper force. And it allows us to go through all of these kinds of things in our personal life, in the way that we look at our life on the larger scale, these sorts of things. And it always gives us this constant reference point of the desire and the efforts being done by others. We're going to, in a little while, we're going to have a friend come in and speak to us about that. But first, let's go to your questions and see what's on your minds. We have a video question sent to us by Richard.
Hi, Tony. This is Richard from San Diego. My question is, why are there such things, or is there such thing as individualized perception? It's written that there is none else beside him, so doesn't this mean that any action I do, whether violent or charitable, doesn't really matter because there is none else beside him? So why work for anything? Why not just let things happen? Thank you.
That's a good question, because often the relief that we feel when we learn that it's really one force working on us, and that in a certain sense, because we're created with this nature, we're not truly responsible for certain things because we can't act any other way. The idea is, okay, great, he'll take care of everything. This force will take care of everything. Now this is the approach basically of faith below reason. That's what religion does. It says there's a God, he's going to take care of everything. You just, do your thing over here, and everything will turn out fine. But Kabbalah, when it speaks about there's none else beside him and that he is the single force behind everything, this law of nature, it's not saying that this is something that we simply believe. We have to test it. That's why you could call Kabbalah a kind of a science of human emotion and consciousness. It's the experiment is done actually on your own qualities, and there's a formula for it. The formula says, no, you don't sit there and let things happen. This is precisely what you don't do. First of all, what is things? What does it mean that something happens? What's an action in Kabbalah? An action in Kabbalah is an intention. The effort to do what this one force does. To be able to see no matter what happens, that I'm not in this in order to feel good for myself. I'm in this in order to see what is my quality compared to the quality that the Kabbalists tell me about, which means that I must act. I can't just allow these things to happen. I have to, in this laboratory that I sort of set up in conjunction with this force, to say, okay, this is how the force works, let's test it out. You have to test it. You have to see what's your response. And why did you have that response? And how do you know what kind of response you had? Well, you compare it to the constant response in the group, which is a loving response like yours that wants to reach this connection with the upper light. So it's an action. It's faith above reason. It's got to do with you becoming like that force. I think we have one other video question here.
Hi Tony, my name is Katie, and I have a
it's an
question
audio
on
question.
the article you are discussing on tonight's show, the article entitled There is None Else Besides Him. In one of the paragraphs it says, furthermore, he who says that man has his own authority, that is, he says that yesterday he himself did not want to follow God's ways, that too is considered committing the sin of heresy, meaning that he does not believe that only the Creator is the leader of the world. My question is, if there is only the Creator, and the Creator is the only force in creation that leads the world, where then is an individual's freedom of choice? Thanks, Tony.
That was a great question. I mean, the way the question was constructed is, is really the right way to ask a question when you're relating to an article, because it really follows the thought of the article, and it's presented with, she's supporting what she's saying, with a quote as well. Where does the freedom of will exist for an individual? There are so many layers to the answer to that question, and I don't want to take a long time answering it. But basically, the perception that we are an individual is a perception that really comes from our the fact that our real quality is hidden from us, that there is concealment. The freedom of will is to be able to act in a way inwardly that the Creator is not doing in me, not making me think this way, not having me work only according to my will to receive. It is to put in efforts to make some other kind of quality evolve from the potential that was implanted in me by the thought of creation. Because the thought of creation is to create a creature and to raise that creature to the level of the Creator. So that potential is there, and the perception that I'm an individual, that is the concealment. So to take some kind of an inner action in terms of an intention and then to use actually how the system works and to make a choice to implant myself like a seed in a proper place where it can grow into an environment that supports that, then once you do that, that tiny act of free will, that tiny effort, now gets all of these resources that grow a person and lift them, give them the opportunity to rise to a much higher level. And I think we've also got a couple of text questions. I'm going to check that. It's from Johnny from Northern Ireland. Wow, we got people from all over the world. Johnny says, I just left a job which was very negative. It had a poor effect on my health and well-being, and I'm just going through some contractual battles at present, which again is more stressful, and yet I feel that I am doing the right thing, as I felt that I was not growing while I was there, and in a sense I wasn't free. I had an overwhelming urge to try to find a new job to feel freedom for a while. Are these selfish desires, or is my soul urging me to learn more elsewhere? In short, is it okay to escape a stressful environment after a long period? Well, the question is somewhat related, but of course, the nature works that way. It creates, if it wants to move us forward, it has to show us that we can't stay where we are, because we would. We're so determined to receive pleasure that Rabash says that if we didn't have the force of nature pushing us, we'd put our hand down on the table and it would just stay there forever. But nature moves us by showing us that we are not where we want to be. Now, in our lives, of course, we have to concern ourselves with our necessities, and we have to move towards those things. And there are emotional and there are physical necessities. You must take care of those things. If you try to apply that, though, within Kabbalah, and the whole point is that anything is okay except to leave. Because if you leave, meaning if you detach yourself from the desire that you have because the left is pushing you or the right is drawing you, then you no longer can perceive and you no longer can learn. So in your necessity, in your physical life, just do what everybody else does. There's nothing right, there's nothing wrong about it. In the work, you have to hang in to make the discernments. And that's how you, as Asaf showed in that diagram, you finally reach sort of outside of the fishbowl if you keep going that way. Let's see if do we have something else here? You know, I'd like you to meet a very, very special friend. This is somebody who started actually the learning center that you've been studying in a long, long time ago. It didn't seem to me like it was a long time ago, but we were talking about it a little earlier, and it's grown so fast, but it started quite a while ago. And this is somebody that you're going to be meeting soon. This is Igal Zahavi, who is one of the teachers of the intermediate class that you're about to go into next week. Welcome, Igal. Well, let me turn your microphone on here. Let's get it up.
Keep it off. Hello, everybody. It's great to be here.
It's good to have you here. These folks just, it's graduation day. Hmm?
Congratulations.
And they're all about to move on to another kind of level of study, and you're one of the guys who are going to teach them about this.
That's right. Don't celebrate for too long, because you're going to start next week, and it's gonna go up a notch based on the material we're gonna study, and it's gonna go very, very deep, much deeper.
And it's a lot of fun, actually, isn't it? What is the stuff that you're going to be studying with them?
It's going to be articles of Rabash which are very, very unique. There's nothing like this on Earth. Nothing exists like this anywhere. I don't think so. Because of what Rabash reveals, the actual hidden stuff that has been hidden from humanity for so many centuries. The inner work that Kabbalists have been alluding to and talking in secret language.
So when you hear these things, say, in the technical lessons about the worlds and all of that stuff, this deals with what you have to do inside that relates to that?
Wherever you come across words such as connect, rise to the upper level, the lower one descends and gives you an opportunity to connect with it, the light moving through, whatever. This gives you an actual practical place of where you can see it and feel it and apply it.
How does it do that? What do the articles talk about?
Relationships between people, actual connection between people. You were talking about the fishbowl and how to come out of the fishbowl.
Yeah.
Well, Rabash's article actually tell you right out how to come out of the fishbowl in a very, very practical, real way that you can apply and see results. And the way to come out of the fishbowl is to unite, connect, or love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah, but of course you're not gonna. It's not like you're gonna go and take flowers and put them in the Toronto police, riot guns. What's the scope of?
We
the
might
work?
try that just to see that that's not what it is, because Kabbalah is very practical, and sometimes you need to try to do all of these things to see, feel in your own flesh, that this is not it, because it's not. It's a very practical methodology, and it's not theory. That you sit in the classroom and you just...
Well, what is the scope of it? How do the students actually go about doing this? It's talking about working in a specific number of people, or how? What?
We, in parallel to these classes, we sort of begin to take all these actions, where we begin to unite with other people, virtual groups, physical groups, actually meeting with people, and to begin to apply and begin to look inside of ourselves.
Ah, so they're really practical actions that you're doing.
It's actual. It's an actual experiment.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have exercises that people can go through, apply, and see how they feel, what the results are for themselves, and slowly begin to connect to this environment with other people, where they can begin to apply these rules of connecting with the Creator.
You know, actually, this television channel and the Learning Center, these things were actually started out as experiments in the beginning as well, didn't they? I mean, this was something that the students began working on. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Learning Center. Where did it come from?
I don't remember. Like you said, we were just talking in the back there. Oh, when did we start this? Like 2-3 years ago, and then it turned out that this was 2004.
Mm-hmm.
This is what year is it today?
2010.
Okay, so this is 6 years ago, right?
Have you filed your taxes? He's an accountant.
No, actually, I didn't. How it started, I remember the feeling. It was after my first Congress. I came back, and I had this tremendous urge to disseminate out of nowhere. And I think this is what it is when you begin to study and you begin to attract the light, and the light begins to work on you. These reshimot begin to awaken within you, in the right direction.
You know, there are students watching us, and there are also people from the general public. So when you say dissemination, you mean you want to let people know about
Yes.
what we're about what it is that we're learning,
spreading the wisdom,
right?
making it available to everybody, to whoever is interested, whoever
Mhm.
has the point in the heart. And by making it available to others, you are effectively letting the light flow through you to others. And this flow is the connection.
You know, it's hard for me to imagine if I could sort of bring myself back to the point where you and I and about 5 other people were studying on Yahoo Messenger every morning, 6 or 6:30 in the morning, connecting to Israel. It's just a bunch of people from all over the globe, just a few people. And this was the first English study of Kabbalah from the B'nai Baruch group, you know, under Rav's supervision. And all of the people, all the friends in that group became activists. They all got turned on like this, and we were looking for things that we could do to work together.
Yeah, we tried just about everything. Flyers.
Yeah.
We set up all sorts of courses in our Toronto branch. I remember you, me, and a few others. And eventually this opportunity came up to do it over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I also remember I was doing a few lessons on Yahoo before this started, I think, or parallel to this. But eventually, this felt so right, and the real way of applying the methodology.
Yeah, you know, not only to express the wisdom and to make it available to people, but the stuff that we go through, have been through, continue to see, and the discernments that come from working together like this, with friends just saying, yeah, we're going for it, you know, we're going to help change the world, and we're going to help each other reach that goal. The game, because of that desire, and because there were so many friends who really wanted to do it, I mean, all over North America, there are groups involved everywhere that are really holding this situation up right now. They're practically holding us in their hands because they're contributing in all kinds of ways to this thing happening. And this all came from friends trying to follow what Rabash is saying in those articles.
Yes. Exactly.
I get excited too. I don't know.
You read my mind. There's. I remember. I remember in one Congress in Israel, we did a workshop, and there was a few questions, and that were asked. That were given to us as assignment in the workshop, and basically it was all about, well, okay, so what is the key to everything? What if you take away the morning lesson dissemination, what do you have? And we sat in a group and we analyzed it for about an hour, and we realized there's actually nothing else. There's no connection. Nothing. There's no way to connect. There's no glue between us. It's all talk, hot air, steam, nothing. The only thing there is the lesson from the books, the attracting the light, and then the spreading of the wisdom. That's how you connect.
Yeah, because the spreading of the wisdom is the work with another person on about that very most important value that you have, and it's a real thing, and you get to see really where are you with people.
Because it's all about coming out of yourself and becoming responsible for others. And the degree to which you are taking this responsibility for others, this is your kli. This is your connection to others, and that is your vessel. Asaf was showing in the lesson after the Mahsom, where you have the kli and the screen. This responsibility, this is your screen. Responsibility for others, your care for others.
Yeah, and this becomes your soul. There's a little, we got a little message here from Seth Brightman, who's saying that Egal used to read articles with us on the phone 1 or 2 nights a week. He just used to get together with a bunch of guys and...
It wasn't on a phone, I think it was on Yahoo.
So you're wrong, Seth. Thanks for your
We
note.
talked on the phone a lot.
Yeah. Eagle, don't go away. I wanna take a look at something from yesterday's last part of the morning lesson, because part of the preparation for people to be able to understand what they're going to learn in the next semester and to really be connected, give their effort the maximum assistance, is to get involved in the morning lesson and to feel the strength that comes from there. Here's Rav's comments from yesterday's lesson. Where is that? I think I'm going to have to do it here. As you can see on this page, there's a daily lesson page where you can see what's going on, and you can hear what the main idea of the weekly lessons are.
From the first moment we started studying Zohar, I hear that we have to sit, I hear that concentrate ourselves on the bonding, and bit by bit it will come. And I'm sitting, constantly thinking about bonding, to the extent to which I no longer understand the words, and I feel that not only that I'm not progressing, but I'm regressing. It reaches a state where I open the Zohar and it's hard, really hard. What's hard? Physically hard. I feel like on a stretcher march. I don't understand why. Although on stretcher marches I was usually on the stretcher. Yeah, they happily chose me.
We're a truly high-tech organization here. Man, we seem to have lost sound there. The important thing, though, about the morning lesson is what Asaf was talking about before the end of the lesson, which is the reason for going there, the preparation, the desire in going there. And one has to bring something to the lesson. What is it that a person needs to look for in themselves? What do they have to, how do they prepare internally for the morning lesson?
It's their innermost, deepest lack. What is it that they really, really, really want? And this lack is revealed out of the work that we do outside before the lesson. In all your efforts in connecting with your friends, in all the ways that we mentioned previously, in trying to spread the wisdom, and trying to think about the goal, and trying to be responsible, and that comparison of where you want to be and where you actually are. This difference, this delta, this is your lack, and you can only develop it outside of the lesson.
So you have to be putting in efforts in the work before you come to the lesson, and where you feel that you're not really able. This is your preparation?
Yes, and you can only, and it's real, it's not imaginary, you have to really feel it. And you can only feel it when you play that game as seriously as possible, as you can. Put as much effort as you can into it. And you may not get the results, and actually, as we read in the article, there's none else beside him, you will not feel that you're achieving anything. And that sensation that you're actually not achieving anything, that is actually the real lack. And that is your prayer, that lack. You don't have to say it, you feel it. And when you come to the lesson, with your hands down, exhausted, so to speak, as your sort of your last resort, and then the lesson becomes very, very effective, no matter what you think the result is at the end.
Thanks, Igor.
Thank you.
Let's go out with this. Stay there. Let's go out with this music, and I want to thank everybody who worked on the show tonight, and I want to thank you for joining us. See you on Sunday.